Hey everybody, welcome. This week's PalletSide Chat is with your co-host Dan and Alex. We're excited to be hanging out today. And today we're going to be digging into a topic that's pretty timely. We're looking at what it's going to take for you to be ready to crush 2023. And specifically, Alex today is going to be sharing a lot of his thoughts around what's top of mind for him as he goes into next year. We just spent kind of 20 minutes before this call catching up and chatting about things that are going on, and I'm super pumped for what we're going to talk through today. There's going to be some really good actionable stuff that's going to help you out for sure. I just want to set the context quickly. Everybody talks about the challenges that have come over the last few years, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that today because what's done is done. But let's just level set, right? Like, there's been issues with supply chain. Costs are continuing to rise, like both in terms of your shipping costs, but also your raw material costs. There's still a bad hangover from iOS 14 and the impact that's had on businesses. Alex made a really interesting point, just as we were prepping for today, about just how much the landscape changed through COVID with legacy retailers pumping their media dollars into the digital space as opposed to kind of the out-of-home space, which is where they traditionally were spending a lot of dollars, which drove up CPAs. That's an interesting comment because you don't hear a lot of it. There's a lot of talk about iOS 14, but not a lot of talk about kind of the redistribution of dollars and how that's impacted things. But again, we're not here to talk about the past. We're going to focus on next year. And looking at next year, the reality is that there's still a lot of uncertainty, right? Interest rates are still out of control. There's big question marks about consumer spending habits and what that's going to look like. But that affects you and your competitors and Alex and I pretty much the same way, right? Those are all macro trends that we're subjected to. So today we're going to dig into more micro level actionable things that you can control. And really that's the key to success. When I look at Alex, when I look at you and all the things that you've done well, I would say that the main theme is that you don't get too caught up in what's happening in kind of the world around you. You focus on the controllables and you execute them really, really well. So pumped to hear about what you're thinking for next year. That's a really long intro for me. Alex, do you want to just say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really interesting topic because being in the 3PL space and the e-commerce space, everybody's talking about this. I have fellow e-commerce brand owners text me like, hey, what's working for you? What creative's working for you? Are you seeing a drop off in conversion rate? And everyone's really anxious at this time. You also happen to have the people who flex on Twitter constantly, which I hate, but it is what it is. The reality is everyone has struggled at one point or the other in the last 3 years. And I'll talk about our struggles, but it's really easy to get dismayed when you think everyone else is crushing and you just haven't unlocked this magic key of how to do it. But the reality is there's no one solution. That's something that used to actually hold us back in the early days of Black Wolf. I'll be vulnerable here. We spent a good 3 years completely paralyzed because we had no idea. I mean, we were really young. I was like 18 at this time. But we had no idea what we were doing. We didn't understand the realities of what e-commerce was and and the game that would, that was being played. But, we used to think we needed the best products, the nicest branding, the best website. And if we could just articulate this life-changing value prop on our website, we would blow up. We were like, oh, Harry's, look at them. They're this new age razor company. If we could just be oh, we're the Harry's for men's grooming and look at our solution focused skincare and all this stuff. The reality is nobody came to our website. We relaunched it 3 times before we finally realized that you actually have to drive sales. They don't just come because you have a great offer and a great website and offering. Especially if you're like me, who's not the guy to get us viral on TikTok and get influencers to promote us. I'm not that guy. I never will be. So you really have to, grow the business. But when we finally got traction, CPAs were already up. We missed the boat on just the arbitrage of e-commerce. What I mean by that, arbitrage is, when you take something and without adding any value, you flip it, you resell it, or you re-merchandise it for a huge increase, but you haven't actually changed it or added value. That was what Facebook was. Suddenly, you could put the worst ad ever on a website and take a commodity that you bought on sale at Walmart and put dollars behind it, and for like $1 or $2, you could sell commodities like deodorant and like consumables and razors and all this stuff. It was leveraging just an arbitrage opportunity. And e-commerce changed. Then it was really brand focused, and it was like, how do we take this antiquated, difficult to buy product and say, hey, here's this beautiful brand, pastel colors, and we'll send it directly to your house. No middleman. We cut the margin. You don't have to drive to the store, all that. That was like the next iteration. That's kind of when we started. We didn't go with that sales prop. We that was our initial sales prop, but then we realized, like, let's just launch and make different ads, and we'll see what hits. And then we really nailed in on like this solution focused, and I can talk more about that. But back to the topic of this podcast, what we're really focused on is, okay, every brand struggled, whether it's cost, supply chain issues, iOS 14, what have you. Competition is hot now. So we're going to talk about what we experienced throughout the last 2 years, and then also what we're looking for next year for us. And like Dan said, what works for us probably doesn't work for everybody. But I think before we dive in, Dan, to what we're planning for next year, I think it's important to be vulnerable so that people who are listening, who might feel dismayed also, don't think, oh shit, we're not doing any of that or whatever. Black Wolf during COVID got up to 1,000 orders a day. Took us, we spent 3 years selling nothing and grinding, but we finally slowly over 2 years built it up to doing 1,000 e-commerce orders a day. Then after that April, May of that beginning of COVID years, our sales started to decline. We started to scale back ads because our CPA got terrible. We didn't have the AOV to compete at that time. And it's not necessarily iOS 14, which was a huge contributor. It's not necessarily these brands that would sell in retail. Those retailers will shut their doors, so all this advertising spend was allocated on digital platforms, because we're not competing with men's skincare brands. We're competing with every brand, right? People's eyeballs and clicks and dollars, disposable. You're competing with everything. With Facebook, like, it's not like, oh, they see an ad, now they go on this, like, they launch this investigation to every skincare brand. It's like, if you capture them at that moment, it's direct response. You're looking for a direct response. And these big retailers, Sephora's closed, so now they're going to take their ad dollars, drive online. They already have like 100% awareness. They're huge brands, so they can convert at way lower CPAs, and they were just scaling like crazy, driving their website sales up like 50, 60%. So that was a huge issue. And then obviously every cost, containers from China were like 10 times the price, and every input cost and labor cost, and a lot of challenges. So the year before this year, 2020, was really brutal for Black Wolf. We were like down to 100 orders, 150 orders a day. Really, really tough. But we spent last year doing a lot of work to fix it, because we knew we had something. Just because the macro environment changed doesn't mean that it's not viable.
Sure.
So we basically spent last year just coasting at the lowest possible marketing spend without, trying to keep CPAs low that way, and completely rejiggered the business. So, a lot of founders write to me like, what's working for you? What's working for you? The reality is you have to figure it out, because it's going to be different for every brand. But I think the thing that I learned the most about last year Someone that we work with on the marketing side told me this, but when talking about, everyone talked about how Facebook or digital ads, it's not about the targeting anymore because the algorithms are so good. It's really about the creative. It's about the creative. It's about the creative. Everyone said that. And what we realized, because you spend a lot on creative, you spend high production, low production, iteration, and nothing was working for us. And we realized, of course, it's super important. Creative is absolutely important. But this guy Josh had this saying, product is king, offer is queen.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean? That's saying you can have the best creative in the world, but it really comes down to the fundamentals of what are you selling and how much are you selling it for? What is the price? What is the offer? What is the product? And that really changed everything for us. Because again, how many, if CPAs are rising, what are you going to affect if you make creative? Am I going to, if my CPA went from 20 to 80, am I going to make an ad that 4x's my click-through rate that leads to an equal amount of conversions with a copy change or a change of video? Maybe, but not necessarily ongoing on a scale basis. So, I think a lot of people get caught up, stuck in that it's in certain ideas because they see everybody online talking about it.
For sure. That's so great. I mean, I think we could probably do a deep dive when it comes to just the whole creative optimization and offer optimization process, because I love that. At the end of the day, it's interesting you talked about that season of arbitrage in e-commerce. I think we all have friends that were buying things on AliExpress, not even buying things on AliExpress, but using dropship plugins into their Shopify store to try to get rich quick, right? Those days are gone.
Literally, they added no value to the customer. No. Zero.
For sure. Just the allure of getting rich quick, right, with no effort is tough to pass up.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, product is king, offer is queen. We're gonna do a whole session on that, I think, and unpack that a bit more. So, really, kind of looking at you talking about your journey, and I appreciate you being transparent about the ups and downs, because I think it's easy to look at a company like Black Wolf today and see the success and glaze completely over the reality that it took to get to the point you're at today, and the fact that there's peaks and valleys, and there will probably continue to be peaks and valleys, right? This isn't I don't think e-commerce is ever a set and forget business, that's for sure, right? So
no.
I think thematically for a lot of businesses, the key to overall success, I think, in 2023, and especially in light of some of those macro conditions that we've talked about, is looking at how you really optimize revenue, especially from existing customers, right? We know that that acquiring customers will continue to be expensive, and so there's the question of how you optimize AOV on the initial order, and then there's also, I think, the question of how you optimize AOV on recurring orders or continuing orders as well. So I want to take a few minutes and talk about that specifically. So when you think about increasing AOV, what comes to mind? What are the buckets that you kind of think of when it comes to opportunities to really drive that number up?
Sure. So a big change that we had, and by the way, when we first started Black Wolf, I remember my first Excel where, I didn't even know a P&L was a thing, but my first Excel that I made was, okay, our face wash, bottle cost, transit and import taxes, filling cost, box cost, shipping cost, tape, done. I didn't even know they had to account for a CPA in there. But you really do. So the way that we look at it is LTV. And I know it's a buzzword and it's annoying, but think about it like this. Don't worry about, what your LTV is going to be over 2 years. Just look at your initial LTV, because all your AOV is just your LTV on upfront. It's your upfront LTV, let's say. So think about this. If you have a more expensive product, there's a higher barrier to entry. It's a bigger decision. you're going to spend more on marketing because you have to show it to more eyeballs to get them to buy, because it's a harder thing to buy. It's not an impulse purchase if you're selling an $800 mattress. So that's the first thing to recognize. The second thing is, are you a consumable or are you a one-time purchase? So in the mattress space, yes, if they love the mattress, they might get a second mattress from you or refer a friend. But in reality, you're buying one mattress and it lasts 10 plus years. So you need to make sure that you're first order profitable, really. Like, is your marketing cost, is your AOV minus your marketing cost, minus your cost of goods, positive or negative? So you really have to think like, okay, do I need to be first order profitable or not? The second factor with that is, if I'm not first order profitable, even in a consumable, do I have the infrastructure in place to make sure that I'm driving repeat purchases? And also, do I have the financing to actually fund the loss until they come back? That's a big thing. That was the biggest thing that held us back at Black Wolf. Our products are not that expensive. We're marketing it at not crazy expensive, but we're in this market where we're premium, so there's somewhat of a decision. We're elevated from a Nivea or a Dollar Shave Club type product, but we are not selling a body wash for $35 where we can afford the margin. So and our products are premium, so the COGS are high too. So it was always a struggle with AOV. When we launched, our AOV was like $18, and through a few product launches, expansion to the line, we scaled that up to like 40. But we couldn't get past 40. It was so frustrating because everyone was saying, like, to win in e-commerce, you got to have like $100 AOV or like 50 plus. It's always changed. So it was really, really hard for us to be first order profitable. So we had to find another way. And I do not recommend this. I'm just selling, I'm just saying what we did. But basically, we realized that, let's say in month one, we had a $30,000 loss. As long as we could put all the expenses, production runs and Facebook on our credit card and had a high enough limit for that month's spending, as long as the next month's revenue was that 30K loss larger, we could, cash flow wise, we could grow. And we grew like that with no big investment for 2 years, up until we were doing 1,000 orders a day. Then we finally raised money because during COVID, I'll have to call them out, Brex took our limit and they called us and they said, oh yeah, no more limit overnight. So our whole method of financing with credit cards went completely out the window, which was brutal. But we survived. Thank God to our manufacturer who paused billing until we closed the round of funding. I'll never forget that, and we're deathly loyal to them. Wow. If anyone needs a skincare manufacturer, you can reach out to me and I'll refer you because they're the best.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, maybe walking through things that you've tried around increasing AOV leading up to where you got to today, where I know you guys have seen a lot of success recently on AOV, but maybe shed some light on things that you tried that weren't as successful, or maybe was it a home run every time?
Yes. Okay. So we did two things. First was our strategy to that point had been to try and put people into more premium, larger bundles to increase AOV. The CPA had gone up a tremendous amount and we could not get it down. So we knew we had to change. So we could either go more premium, more expensive, or lower barrier to entry. We tested both, and we decided to go with a lower barrier to entry because what we learned was, let's try and get people into a free trial. And people do free trials with little sizes. We gave a full 60-day supply to people. So again, like product offer, like we went with the best premium products, huge size for $5 for a trial. And it would lead you into a 60-day subscription. CPA cut tremendously. And what we learned, we did a small test. We launched a secret unlisted landing page, drove media to it. We built a cohort of like 500 customers, and then we waited 60 days to see what the stickiness would be. I think at that time, like 55 or 60% of those customers stayed. And so we started, and we were giving them a 3-product bundle, so they rebuilt at like $65. So we then started to cost model, like, okay, if we can finance that loss for 60 days, are we in a better place on day 60? And the truth was, we were not at that time. We were in a better place on the second reshipment, so the third order. That's a longer time to ship, and we still weren't profitable at that time. I think our profitability was at like month 9 break even. So we had to rejig again, and we've tested a lot. We got big into landing page testing last year. So we tested, preset bundles that they can subscribe to, or make your own bundles, or should we make it $0? Should we make it $7? We've really played around what the recommended products are. Should we give them a 4th product as an offer for free instead of just a 3-product bundle? Should we make it a 4-product bundle, because when they get the reshipment, it's even more expensive. Now you're talking $60 an order. So that was the first thing we did. We had to change our business model to fundamentally shift the trajectory of marketing our skincare products online. So we went, really testing and iterating on our subscription. That was 1. Number 2 was we needed something else to drive AOV up. Relying on one platform, again, we want to build a long-term brand. We don't want to be an arbitrage of making, private label skincare and hawking it online. That's not our goal. We custom formulated. We're, trying to solve real problems. We built and invested a lot in our brand. We've invested a lot in building up our customer base. So we were like, okay, how can we expand outside of skincare? And the reason I say that is we got no traction getting our skincare line into retail, which is a huge aspect of being profitable as an e-commerce brand.
Right.
Think about it like this: a more more legacy brand, like as seen on TV type things. If you're paying for an infomercial, if you can drive enough in profit from that infomercial to cover the cost of the infomercial, you've now just aired a commercial for free.
Right.
And that's how as seen on TV brands look at it. That $19.99 pan, they've come up with that price because it lowers the barrier to entry. They can cover their costs of the commercial. Then a certain percentage of people get the complete set. Then they see it in retail and they buy it.
Right.
That's where the profit comes from. So Black Wolf needed to be not just, and digital ads, by the way, is the same thing. If you can break even, the days of 2, 3, 4, 5 times ROAS are very hard to achieve and sustain. So if you can just cover your cost and break even on your advertising, or even take a slight loss, you've now shown so many people your brand. There's so much awareness. You have the email, you have data that you can use and leverage to get yourself into retail. All that being said, we made no traction into retail. So we knew we needed a Trojan horse. How do we get ourselves, what can get us in the door that then our skincare brand, our skincare product can follow after? We landed on, we need a device. We can only sell a bottle of skincare products for so long. We can only launch so many products without sacrificing our goal of being simple and effective for guys. So it was actually my brother. We were on our weekly Amazon call, and we were looking at competition of body wash with helium-10, search competition or something. And Sam goes, "Hey, check ear cleaning." And we check ear cleaning, high search, 10 times body wash, very low competition. So we are like, oh my God, okay. Everyone, including me, thought the idea was terrible. We're like, what the hell? Ear cleaning, really? Yeah, we have an in-house engineers. We 3D printed a prototype, filmed a really cheap commercial, and launched a fake landing page on a platform called Mojo. It's, it will capture the order, but it never charges the customer, and you never ship the order and you say, hey, sorry, it's out of stock or something. And the results were crazy. We're now selling a $60 product with great margin, and the CPAs were lower than our skincare was, even lower than the free trial. So we were like, shoot. So we finalized the design. We got a very accomplished ENT to work with us on the medical side of it and making sure the PSIs were right. And we did our first production run of our Whoosh ear cleaner. Now, why Whoosh? Why not like the Black Wolf ear cleaner? The whole idea of this Whoosh is we got to get this into retail. We got to get this on TV. So we named it Whoosh by Black Wolf to allow us to go outside of our demo. Like, how do we get women interested in this? How do we get older and younger people, not just our like core, millennial guys? So yeah, we came up with Whoosh and we ordered 10,000 of them. We had spent 10,000 on testing. We had good results. From those results, we bought one container and paid for the dye. It's fully custom from the ground up, so we had to do all the molding and everything. Brought the product in. We airshipped 1,000, and we launched a very small digital test and a TV test. And we blew through the 1,000 in like 2 days. Then we waited another month, and the container arrived, and we blew through that super quick. We ended up ordering, I think this year we've ordered 140,000 of them.
Wow.
But as promised, it was the Trojan horse for retail. Black Wolf is now in Bed Bath & Beyond, CVS, Rite Aid, HSN, crushing it on HSN somehow. We're launching new colors for them. We have a bunch of much bigger retailers that I can't really talk about yet because it's not final. But it was our Trojan horse. And it goes back to my saying, like, literally, product is king, offers queen. And as soon as we understood that, it changed everything. And then we kind of thought back, like when we launched with 3 products, we hit a plateau in sales. So we actually launched 7 products. In 5 months, we developed and launched 7 products all at once. And that changed everything. Our body wash popped off the sales. It was like we turned our face wash, which was our best seller before, into a body wash. We unlocked back acne as a market, and we've sold over 500,000 of those in the last 2 years.
That's amazing. So how do you effectively cross-market all those things to your existing customer base? Tying this back to using product development as a strategy for increasing AOV. What are you guys doing to get Whoosh into the hands of existing customers, or as you move from 3 to 7 products, how are you making sure that people are exposed and buying the new units and SKUs?
So good question. My answer is we're terrible at it, actually. So shout out to my my homie Nick Julian, the co-founder of Truff. He was my first friend that I made in D2C. I reached out to him when I was nowhere, like no sales. And he was so helpful in giving me perspective and insight into like the steps to kind of get going and build sales. They're so good at, also my friend Dylan Jacobs, the brewmate, so good at, keeping their community excited and really, dropping a product and driving massive revenue for their existing customer base. We are terrible at it, like horrendous. When we launched our body wash, it was like a flop. We sold none. It was only when we put marketing dollars to new customers with it that we started to, grow. But, so we never got that like huge initial bump, but over time we've gotten slightly better. And like Whoosh, we've sold a ton to existing customers, but it also brought up this situation where, okay, I'm excited about Whoosh. I saw it on TV or I saw it on Amazon or whatever, and I bought it. But like, what's this Black Wolf, right? and we were hoping for crossover to skincare, and there was some, and we've played around with different bundles that include both. But the reality is, like, if you look at Manscaped, their core product is that trimmer. It costs them probably like $11 landed to make. They sell it for $70. And then the other products are ancillary, ball deodorant, ball wash or whatever. But those are, related secondary products that they can, get some recurring revenue out of the device. Whoosh and body wash don't go together at all. So what we have is we're cross-selling a little bit, like 15% of orders have whoosh and something else, but most is single whoosh. So we went back to the drawing board and we're like, okay, we need a device that is unique like whoosh, looks awesome, has a higher AOV so we can run TV, but also seamlessly brings people into our skincare. That device, we'll have to talk about in another segment. I have the post-production. We just finished our first production run. We have 75,000 of them coming. They land mid-December, but I got samples aired over, and it is the best. I'll say this: it elevates your shower experience to a completely new level. And the test results, we also did a 10K test through our Mojo platform with this. The results were twice as good as whoosh, half the CPA. And we think that having this in bundles with our skincare is so natural. It makes complete sense and synergy. So we think this is going to take it to the next level. But again, like times change. First it's all about your targeting. You need a great ad buyer. Then it's all about creative. Now it's all about product. Now it's, so you got to make sure that, you're not afraid to admit that what you have is not working and just rejigger. We took a year of stagnant revenue and actually lowered revenue. But we retooled, and now we're going to have 2022. Last year I think I said 2020. I meant 2021. 2022 is going to be by far our best year ever. And now we're going to start 2023 with 2 devices and another one already with engineering. We're in retail. We've launched our whole hair care line. That's actually another strategy. We launched hair care. We made it salon grade. And the idea there is to use salons and barbershops as the lead into our brand. So, give a generous profit share with the distributors or give them a good margin, work to push it out. And then that's the first thing you do. When you get a product that your barber recommends, you trust it, you love it. And then you want to go find where else you can buy it for cheaper.
Sure. Absolutely.
Or cheaper or more convenient. You're going to go to Amazon, you're going to come to our site and see, it's priced the same because we don't want to compete with our distributors. But look, they have size shampoo that I couldn't get at the barber, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I love our chats. The reality is that marketing is cyclical, right? And e-commerce is not immune to that. And we touched on the arbitrage that existed a few years ago. And I think part of the reason that arbitrage was so effective was because marketing in that season was like really distilled down to like the effectiveness of using data and analytics to drive revenue, right? And that's why drop shipping worked so well for a time. And, again, the ad platforms made it effective based on how great the algorithms were, right? And we saw this shift with iOS 14 taking a lot of that data away, and the importance of brand and offer has emerged, right? And I love your story because it highlights the importance of being able to pivot on that kind of stuff, right? And the importance of being humble enough to recognize that you're not going to hit home runs every time, you're going to strike out, and your process around learning from those misses is actually what leads to success. Like, quite frankly, even hearing you talk about the story about Whoosh, which on one hand is clearly a home run, right? Like the ability to get Black Wolf into retail with that product is a massive win. But also interesting to hear just kind of the realities of how it wasn't as effective as initially hoped in terms of being a cross-sell opportunity, right? And but again, like, so massive success overall for sure. Maybe didn't hit initial goals in terms of introducing more people to the Black Wolf brand at the frequency that you had hoped, but even still, just interesting to hear how you and Sam took those learnings, applied it to a second product, right? Yet to be revealed formally, but that has tons of upside potential. The Mojo tests are super exciting, but also, and I know what product it is because you shared this with me in the past, but has a much closer link, which you've alluded to kind of the core business of Black Wolf, right? So again, like, just it's such an interesting affirmation that the process and mindset and learning from your mistakes, big and small, is pretty key to success. I love where this talk has gone. Like, I think we set out today to talk about increasing AOV, and we pivoted way more to be talking about, I think, just the importance of process, and then the importance of offer, right? Which at the end of the day is probably like the most important thing that we've talked about today. I think people get so hung up on creative testing and paying lots of money to have beautiful, amazing creative, when realistically, as a marketer, it hurts my heart to say this, but like an average website with average creative pushing an amazing product with a compelling offer is always going to outperform, poor offer, poor product with stuff that looks, with images in a website that's beautiful, right?
100%. And Dan, like, everyone, you got to stick with what you're good at. Like I said at the beginning, we have driven $0 from influencer marketing. And you're saying, like, you're an e-commerce brand. Like, how? Like, every brand is like a key part of their marketing strategy. I am terrible. I do not know how to reach out to these people. I don't know how to get people hyped up about it. I'm an ops guy, right? And even Sam's a opportunity partnership guy, brand vision. We do not get influencers. It's not our core skill. We've tried to do seeding programs with interns, so grinding out on Instagram. It never has worked for Black Wolf. So stick to what you're good at. My strength is, supply chain and, really getting into the data and modeling out our LTV intimately. Like, okay, like a quick example, we noticed that on the subscription, like 75% of the people that do cancel between the first and second shipment cancel within 24 hours. They don't even get the product. So what we're working on now is, and I think they do it right after, it's within the first 48 hours. I think what they're doing is, once they get the tracking number, they are canceling immediately. So what we're instituting now is there's going to be a hold on Black Wolf packages. So we're going to keep Black Wolf packages in the warehouse separate, the subscription ones, and then we're going to add in outbound scans, and then if a customer's canceled, when we outbound scan it, will say, hey, put this aside, and then customer service will reach out and say, hey, you canceled your subscription, your free trial, before it even arrived to you. So we're just gonna cancel your order, right? Like, I know it's kind of annoying, but what that's gonna allow us to do is, like, if this person's just value shopping like that, we're gonna test. It might be the case that that's just gonna piss off the customer that was thinking, oh, let me order it for $5. I don't necessarily know if I'll like it. I might forget to cancel it. So I'm going to cancel it. And if I like it, I'll resubscribe. They might say that. Right. It might just be someone who is hunting for free product. But what this will allow us to do is more accurately measure our CPA of who actually wanted to buy, not just, hunters. But also, our package costs like $15 to get it to somebody. So not being in the hole, that $15 or our cost, whatever the CPA is and all that, the revenue, we're in the hole $10 just on the AOV to COGS on that. We can recoup that and then maybe bring our payback to like 4 months,
right?
And be able to scale more. So just stick with what you're good at. If you're good at analytics or operations, focus on that. If you're good at seeding product and not having it to pay for marketing, like, do that and stop. For sure. Worrying about your $1 or $2 on shipping, because you could be spending $30 to acquire the customer. I really People need to focus on what they're good at.
Absolutely. For sure. Oh, and you'll have more fun doing it too, right? If you focus on things you enjoy and that you're good at, that's kind of the sweet spot in life. So
if we didn't do our own fulfillment for Black Wolf, well, now it's a client of 123, but if we didn't do our own fulfillment, I couldn't see the product and forklifts and trucks. I wouldn't be able to work as many hours as I work at all. Like, no, not even a chance.
Fair enough. That's great, Alex. As always, it's a lot of fun to unpack this journey with you. We're gonna have to come back and we're gonna do another episode on AOV because I know there's a lot of good stuff that's happening. I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'm not going to talk about any of it right now. But there's a lot of cool stuff we can share next time. But honestly, I think the beauty of doing the podcast is we can see where things go. Tons of great conversation today around product development, and again, just riffing on the importance of offer with you is a lot of fun. So appreciate that. Any closing thoughts?
No, yeah, I think we'll dive into more ways to increase AOV in another PalletSide chat. What I'd love to know is any listeners that we have, if you have marketing questions or warehousing challenges, start to drop some comments under the video wherever you're listening. We'd love to hear about them, talk to them, and then I think the goal, Dan, for PalletSide Chat is to bring more guests, either experts or people who are looking for some guidance in operations or marketing. So yeah, definitely engage with us. You can reach me or Dan directly. I think maybe we published our contact information, or just leave comments publicly. But yeah, we'd love to see what other people are facing and what other solutions that you have.
Absolutely. Yeah, and our contact details will be in the show notes, but you can always get us at podcast@ShipHero.com. And like Alex said, we also keep an eye on the comments. So looking forward to hearing from you all for sure. Thanks again. Look forward to chatting with you all soon. Have a great day.